Yes. So many vijana. Maso. Vijana. So many vijana. Mtapata kazi nzuri sana. Vijana. Pia bidii. Mwisho wa kisoma. Mtapata kazi nzuri sana. So many vijana. Welcome to Beacon of Hope. Hey, education, education, education tonight. Education. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight we have a treat for you. Tonight it's all about education. Most of you know that I've been a teacher for so many years. And so I have that passion of making sure that, you know, our children learn. So I am very, very much passionate about education. Tonight, we are talking about education. Now, and we've got special guests lined up tonight, people who have been in education. From the background, unasikia so many vijana, eh? That's the song I used to hear when I was young. Nikisoma, mwisho wa kusoma, nitapata kazi nzuri sana. Yay! So many vijana. Tukisoma mwisho wa masomo tutapata kazi nzuri sana. Mwisho wa kusoma tutapata kazi nzuri sana. So many vijana pia muongeze bidii kwa masomo wa kusoma. Nilikuwa tunaambiwa tutapata kazi nzuri. So I'm not too sure about that today. But you know what? We've got the experts tonight who are going to talk to us about that. So, hey, welcome. Welcome, welcome tonight. It's once again our program, Beacon of Hope, which we bring to you every Friday at this time. Well, today I did apologize. We weren't starting at 3 because we are talking to teachers and lecturers and they had to go and deliver what they are giving us tonight. So we are in for a treat. So tonight's program is not just for students, parents too. And I've got a lineup of teachers, lecturers, people who are out there to support us, to give us ideas, you know, to help us with what we could be struggling with. At the moment, here in the UK, schools have just gone, children have just gone back to school. Actually, this week, same with the universities, although the universities, there's been lots of happening online. Now, over 1 year, our children have been at home. What are the effects? How has this affected our children? How can we recover for that lost time? And actually, it's not in Kenya. We know that this affected the whole world. There was nowhere where the children were going to school in the whole world. So how has this affected every child who has gone back to school? How has this affected their mental well-being? How has this affected the parents? How can the parents support their children? So tonight, I'm going to bring my first guest, who actually is one of us. He is a lecturer, Dr. Langat, who will come and talk to us. Dr. Langat is a lecturer and he deals with all sorts of, you know, especially the higher education, and bringing your questions, sending any of those questions, any of the issues that are disturbing you at the moment, how to handle your children, what is happening, choice of subjects, choice of universities, any of the first, you know, different resources that are available, what support there, both in the system and within where we are. So I'm gonna ask Dr. Langat to join us. I can see people have started in. God bless you. God bless you. Share. And Dr. Moses K. Langat. He's very much good at that, and he's here. He's here. Dr. Langat is here. And can I say, so premiere today. Hello, can you hear me, Dr. Langat?
Yes, Councillor, Mayor, Mrs. Bishop, nakusikia vizuri. I can hear you loud and clear now.
Thank you. Welcome. I have asked and I'm told, because everybody in the whole world is using internet, we are bound to have a bit of interruption, but we will do our best.
That's true. The norm at the moment is the use of internet here. So definitely that's our yes, that's our fire. We call it a fire alarm when the internet disappears now that
could you kindly just introduce yourself, and then we will try and continue sorting out this internet problem. Introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, where you live.
Thank you, Mayor. My name's Dr. Moses Langat. I am in the United Kingdom. As I speak to you, I sit in my office at the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew, where I lead research at the Royal Botanic Gardens, what is famously known as the Kew Gardens. And here at Kew Gardens, is an institution that is part of the government. It's part of the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. And as you have also rightly said, up until 2018, I was a full-time lecturer at the University of Surrey before I joined the public service. And even though I joined, I still remain a lecturer of University of Surrey, where I teach on part-time basis. So I'm a visiting professor, I'm a visiting lecturer, where I teach organic chemistry at the University of Surrey in Guildford. So I actually live in Guildford because before I came more or less on secondment to the government, I worked full-time as a lecturer, but at the moment I'm a full-time employee at the Kew Gardens, but I'm a visiting lecturer in Guildford. So it means I maintain living in Guildford. So I drive into London every morning and drive back home in the evening.
Seems to be a problem with the network today. The devil, there is a difficult somewhere. Working on that. We're not gonna let that take our beautiful show. Parents are excited. They have asked questions. They would like to know how we can support them. It's a worrying time for the students and also for the parents. So, Dr. Langat, moving back to what you used to do at the Surrey University and other higher education, what do you think about the time that was spent, so much time at home? What do you think the students have been affected? How has that affected them?
Mayor, first of all, I would mention two things. I think one, I'm a lecturer. I lecture at the University of Surrey. So until when COVID began messing up things in March last year, I didn't have a lot of lectures at the time. My lectures were mainly on the second semester, and actually on the first semester, which starts in October through to January. So I wasn't having lectures at the time. But of course, after the long summer break, we got the university student back, and I had a lecture to deliver from October. So in fact, I will give my experience first as a lecturer, and then I'll give you my experience as a parent, because of course I've got two little boys, and I'm affected in both ways. So when I was lecturing, we adopted what we call the hybrid system. And hybrid system meant we would have some lectures that would be face to face, and we will have some other lectures that would be done virtually using the internet. So my lecture was actually a hybrid
Mhm.
lecture. So it meant that I needed to go in, because I teach some aspects of chemistry. And for the students to understand, the only way to do is to explain. So I did my first lecture, and when I went in to try and do the second lecture, half of the class had contracted COVID, and they had to go on quarantine. So it meant that we had to change everything and to start to have what we call breakout groups. And of course, it was difficult in the sense that you go into a virtual class expecting to have students, but some of them are sick and they are not able to come. So it was very disrupting as a lecturer. In fact, it was the first time we were starting to do it virtually. You can imagine explaining to somebody how to come up with some new terminologies in chemistry. I work in an area where we look for,
Yeah.
yes, Mayor. So what I was saying is, yeah, sometimes the things that we lecture are very difficult to just say it virtually. They would really need to be demonstrated. We will need to have workshops. We will need to have practical sessions so that the students could understand. So it was difficult. In fact, we had to understand that this is a new life for the students and a new life for the lecturers, and we had to change so many things. So that is my life as a lecturer. So we kept doing that until the semester ended, and we had the exams, which the students were doing them from home. Most of the exams had to change to what we call open book exams, because the only way you can get the students is to give them permission to open the books and do the exam. So we changed the exams, how other exams are set, and how the exams are done by the students, and of course how the marking goes on. So the semesters are back on. We're now back into what we call second semester. I'm not having lectures at the moment, but I've got, of course, PhD students that I supervise and master students that I supervise. And this is another aspect that is really difficult, because it's very difficult to maintain face-to-face supervision. So we do a lot of virtual supervision, but again, it involves some experiments in the labs. So it means that we have to go in there and maintain some social distancing. In fact, I supervise here in Q a student who is in Kingston, who really found
Mhm.
very difficult, and she had to go back to Kingston because she felt maybe things would be would be better
Wow.
in Kingston than what
Mhm.
we have. Yeah, so it's training the lecturers as much as it's training the students.
Wow, wow. It seems you are doing so much even after COVID, when, well, we still have that technical difficulty, and we will just persevere, and hopefully we will be able to catch up. Now, we today we are thinking of back to school. Back to school. Now, like I said, both teachers, lecturers, students, parents, we've been at home for over 1 year, and it's not easy. What do you think? I ask the same question again. How do you think this impacted on, I mean, what positive impact, it could be positive, has it had on the students?
Uh, Mayor, so I gather I will focus mainly on the higher education setup. So I will focus on the university students or college students. Of course, this has had a tremendous negative impact in the life of many people, in the life of the students. One thing that we
Yeah.
know is socialization has been reduced to virtually almost zero. That the only way
Yeah.
that you socialize is virtually. So there come situations where students are used to a life where they meet their friends and they do things together, be it a group work while they are in the university, or even having fun together, going to do things together, going for trails, or even maybe going for parties. And then all of a sudden you've got a whole year where this kind of life is paused. So that has had tremendous mental effects in many students. And remember, since we were doing a lot of virtual teaching, most of the students even adopted to go back home. I had in the University of Sharia a number of Kenyan students who are doing masters who elected to go back to Kenya. And of course, here
Mm.
we are. Both of us are in London. We can see we have the best internet around, but you can still see that we have a few challenges here. So you could imagine what happens to a Kenyan student who has reverted to go back to Meru or to go back to somewhere in Kisumu. So of course they have lagged behind in the sense that most of them have not had an opportunity to have quality teaching, so they haven't got quality material because you will have internet challenges. And then of course you will have the difficulties that come with understanding when you are used to being taught face to face, and then all of a sudden somebody is teaching you on the computer. I will tell you that I was teaching many times on the computer. You ask the students the questions whether they have understood, and nobody says
Yes.
anything, so you don't know what is happening. And then and then when we are about to prepare for exams, everybody starts to have questions saying we didn't understand. So yeah, it was really, it's a no man's land, because you don't know whether the students are understanding or not. Nobody's raising their hands. You ask them what are they doing. You don't know whether these people have just switched on the computer, leave it open to be seen that they are there, and then they go and sleep, or they go, wherever they want to go. So yes, it's been hard. I think it's been the hardest 1 year we have had.
Imagine.
And yeah, it's affected a lot, and I think it's been very frustrating.
Moving on. Obviously, yes, it's a negative effect on them. Moving on. What kind of, there are those maybe two, three, four classes who, be it maybe some were first year, second year, third years. So there'll come a time when there'll be that generation, that gap where we will be talking about those who learned online. Do you think eventually, on a long term, that might affect the kind of careers they choose? Do you think it's going to have a long term effect on them?
Yes, I think first of all, it is. I do some work that involve traveling a lot, either traveling to Kenya because we have some projects going on in Kenya, or some other parts of Africa, in particular, or Asia. So virtually all our travel money has been pulled out. Why? Because people now think that it's going to be easier to meet virtually. So all the face-to-face meetings that many of us have been used to traveling are stopping. The students as well are starting to feel that. In fact, you will hear most of them. You ask them that you want them to come to class. They tell you why, when you can teach us online, because you have been teaching the rest of the people online. So of course, we will have issues. We have big issues in the higher education, where students would want to be taught online, because of course they don't need to leave the comfort of their beds or their rooms. They can sleep until 1 second
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
time. You can imagine the winter mare here, where you really have to wake up in the morning, have that cold shower, and then you go to the class. All of a sudden, it's gonna disappear because everybody would want to stay in there. So yeah, I think there will be a generational mess up, if we want to call it. When we eventually go back to uh, the normal life that we are used to, most of them wouldn't understand. So until we remove these cohorts from the university, things will change for
Uh-huh.
sure. And you are quite right. Many jobs that need hands-on may get a lot of effects. I think most of them will disappear. You can see at the moment, if you go down to the high streets, most of the shops have now been closed down because everybody is now going
Uh-huh.
online shopping, or shops are actually
Mm-hmm.
starting to sell things online. So
Yeah.
yeah, it will have even careers that students needs to select, they have to be very careful, because now there are some jobs that for sure they will have to disappear with COVID.
Right. As we continue, Dr. Langat, we also have our friend, Face of Kenya, Janet, who's also joining us, because the idea is for us as Kenyans to try and see how we can support people who have been in education, how we can support our parents, the students, discuss this and answer the questions and concerns. I'll bring in Janet, the two of you can handle in. Janet deals very, very, very difficult field where we have the second, and those are the teenagers, those who are feeling like I'm not a child anymore, I'm not an adult, they are not of where they are. How she handles that, because she is an excellent teacher. I hear that because she teaches in my borough, and I've met so many of her students. I'm gonna Janet. Ideas.
Hello.
There are too many people using why we just try and persevere.
Hello, everybody.
Really?
Can you hear me now?
Hello, Janet. You look good. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you both. And, when I heard I'm going to be with Dr. Langat in the program, I was excited because we share a field, which is educating. And Elizabeth as well, we've shared a field for many years. And yes, my name is Janet Wainaina. I'm president and founder of Face of Kenya. I also do Educate Smart, which is like something that I really have created to work with parents and students. Now, first and foremost is to just say we are excited to be back into the class, because teaching online was very hard for the teacher. Sitting behind the chair talking to virtual students, that was really, really hard. And I'm glad to be back into class. And I can see Elizabeth is back now. Maybe she can ask me the question she wanted to ask me. I've introduced myself when you are away.
And I will take over questioning you if she disappears again.
Okay. Yeah, so we are very excited to be back in class. The children are very excited to be back in class, because with online learning, we could not be getting full class. We were getting sometimes half the class because of the challenges.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You just try.
Yeah. So as I was saying, like, so many students could not enter classes because of the challenges they have as East End of London.
Back to school, Janet. Yeah. Back to school. You've gone back now.
Yes. I've gone back to school. And I'm actually enjoying it, just to see the student one-to-one.
How is it?
It's quite good to see student one-to-one, for me to be able to smile at them and see that they are doing well, because the well-being of the children are very important for us teachers and for everybody out there. So for us to see them one-to-one, to be able to support them, that is for us our number one priority. And I am pretty sure that most teachers can say the same thing. It's far much better to teach one-to-one, because you really can integrate and interact with the students better.
As a parent, Janet, it was very difficult having the kids at home, and we are pleased that you are happy to take them back, because homeschooling has been one of the most difficult.
Yeah. Go on.
Okay, I can carry on now that Maya is not with us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, she's back. So yeah, I was saying homeschooling has been one of the most difficult jobs that I've had to do. I say homeschooling has been one of,
the real technical problem.
Okay. Now, I will answer your question as Maya is getting herself ready. I am glad to take your children back.
Yes.
I seem to be struggling to
we can take over. Yes. As I said, I deal with teenagers, and most parents are just happy to see them go to school. As a teacher, what I can say, really, to be honest, is online learning was not easy for the teachers or for the students, because first and foremost, when I'm teaching virtually, it's easy for me to see all the students have logged in, but it's hard for me to know if they're actually interacting or they are actually learning. So having them in class, because my job is to make sure that learning has happened, progression has happened. So for us, even you having your children to be, because my career is educating. If I can't really say that I've educated your child well online, I've got to be very careful to be able to say that the children are being educated. But I can categorically say online learning was not bad for everybody. For me, there are students who have really stood out in terms of learning their independent skills. There are children who've surprised us as teachers because they were one of those without confidence. But when they started learning online, they were the ones who are bringing amazing pieces of work. So it hasn't been a loss for everybody. There are those who thrived during online classes or blended classes, but there are those who've really gone behind in terms of their, achievement. So we have a long way to go in terms of bringing them to par to their intended learning at this time. So as parents, rest assured that teachers are doing whatever they can to make sure that the missed learning has actually been, picked up, and any kid who's underachieving will be noted in the next month.
Let's short break so that let's take. Please.
Oh.
Niajiwase. TapTap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. Tumaki too.
Hello, people, there is a first. Yes, you heard me clearly. Powerhouse Church, Cllr in Kenya is hosting
World First Revival
on 26th to 28th of March with guest speaker Bishop Kaikai of Christ Restorations Church.
One great thing you must be proud of is you have a life that can never be taken away from you.
Being hosted by Pastor James and Faith of Powerhouse Church, Cllr in Kenya. It's gonna be awesome.
As long as Jesus is alive, you shall live.
What do you tell them, Jason? Come on, tell a friend, bring a friend. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna be blessed. This is the time we need to be revived. Our spirits need to be revived during this hard time. So it's gonna be a pleasure seeing you there.
Hey, life eternal is a guarantee to those who have received him. Guest artist Alois.
Kisingoti chopo kare.
Niajiwase. TapTap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. Tumaki too. Niajiwase. TapTap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. Tumaki too. Niajiwase. TapTap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hustle free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. Too mucky too.
Anyway, did I get I? Is wait. Hello. We should be okay. Oh, all this is interfering. Hello. Wow. That's all else. Are we okay?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, ma'am. Can you hear me?
There was a real problem with my internet, but I think we are sorted now. Are we?
Yes, I think. Though we seem to have lost Janet.
You come back. We will invite her. Somebody should invite her back. I've just realized it was my end. Welcome back, darling.
Thank you.
We realized that it was our internet which had the issues, and I could see you talking. But thank you so much for continuing. That is why you are teachers. You chip in. You can be calling anytime. Thank you. So we go back to Janet. I know you could have handled that question when I was away. You got back to school now. How do you feel? How is the atmosphere? How has that affected the children, you teachers, and the parents? Please take us through that.
Yes, and I was just answering that question because Moses did ask as a parent, really. And I was saying that it's been amazing to be back in school because of career-wise, being a teacher means that you want that interaction with children. So us teachers are very excited to be back in the classroom, notwithstanding the fact that we are worried with the COVID, because obviously the interaction means that, there can be some stuff going on that you don't want to see. So we've had a lot of risk assessment put in place, but being in class is good both for the teachers and both for the students. There's been a lot of missed work, and as I was saying again, it's not been all negative for every student. There are students who've amazed that of how well they've really done in terms of their independent learning skills during lockdown. And they have come up with amazing work. They have done amazing projects. There are students who've really stood out during this time. We also have students who are thriving one-to-one with the teachers, and during lockdown they went down because maybe they don't have the Wi-Fi, they might not have the ability to catch up with the teacher the way it's supposed to be. And sometimes it's mental well-being, because believe me, when the news on the TV is how many people have died, most of us were listening to the news, but we don't ask ourselves how that is affecting students. So yes, definitely it was very challenging for some students. It was good for others. Back to school is now about us just really analyzing who needs our support. Is it well-being they need? Is it emotional support? Is it academic support? So we are now at that level where we are checking and assessing their needs.
Right. I know. What about the teachers? I know I was talking to a teacher who told me they've given up. One, they're not getting the support they need. And now here we are talking as a human being. They're not being given the job as a first priority. Has this time affected the teachers too?
The time has affected the teachers. As I was saying, we are human first. And we know that the COVID virus, the way it's moving very quickly and going to people. For somebody like me, I have to think I'm Black. I'm over 40. So the worry is real that as a teacher, I'm going to worry about what happens to me. But in terms of knowing where you're working, it's very important for anybody. Know where you're working and look at how they have really made sure that you're observing COVID rules. So for example, for me, when I'm going to my class, I'm going to teach in my class, I'm at the front. Although I'm sitting with my students, I am at the front. I can teach at the front. I can interact. I can call students by name. I can see them where they are. So that means for me as a teacher personally, although yes, I'm scared that I don't contact COVID, I'm very excited to be back in class because I am doing what I do best. And you can't take me, I can, you know what, I can thrive with Face of Kenya. I can thrive with UCAN TV, but you'll always find me back in class because that is where I feel my heart is. So teachers in where I work, yes, there are those who are worried because everybody has a risk factor they've got to consider. And as employers are putting in place, or the head teachers, or the leadership are putting in place, they have to personalize this. For example, if they look at Janet, they will talk to Janet, how are you feeling? How can we support you? And that for me and where I work, it has happened. So when I'm walking to school or I'm teaching, I'm feeling like if today I don't feel like teaching because I am panicky, I know I will be supported. And that is a big, with the vaccine, again, you can understand the argument that is coming from the government or the argument that is coming from the NHS. There are people who are more vulnerable than teachers who are probably 30 years old in class. There are teachers who are more vulnerable when they are 40 years plus with the underlying conditions. And these people have been picked, like Backing and Dagenham has been very good in picking those teachers that can be quite vulnerable. So I can say personally that I've been able to bring this conversation to the leadership and they have picked it up. So it means I feel like I can be listened to. So it's not that bad in class. I can't lie to you. It's not that bad. I mean, teachers would feel they need support, but I also know that teachers feels like they need to deliver.
Absolutely wonderful. Now, tell me, obviously, our children have been off school for over 1 year. They've missed a lot of learning time. What are you teachers doing? Because it's not every parent who's got the capacity to support these children to catch up. What are you doing about the missed time? Or how can you, as a colleague, as a parent, as a local person, especially among our community, because we got to be a bit selfish and think about our community. How are we supporting them with the missed time?
Do you know what? Learning for any student, even you when you are a little girl, learning for any student is a collaboration between school and the parents. And the parents have a lot of work to do in terms of understanding the framework. If it's Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3, the Key Stage 4 and 5, understand the framework so you know what has been missed. But as teachers, as I said, there's been a lot of blended learning. We know what we've missed during blended learning. When I'm teaching my class online, I know who has attended and who has not attended. So those conversations has happened whereby, as a teacher myself, I would email that child, have a conversation to know where are they. Because some of them could not come on online learning. They could not come to class like that, but they could actually have a booklet and actually work from the booklet. And using their phone, they can email you and say, Miss, I did not understand this. But there has to be some leadership there. Believe me, you nowadays, if you look at you yourself personally, if you take your phone, are you going to go to blended learning or are you going to go to Facebook and Snapchat? There's so many social things going on that the child need leadership. The child need, the parents to be involved, check the work that the school has set, check that the student does not understand or doesn't understand the work. Make sure that your child is emailing their teacher if they're struggling with their work. So that is where the parent would have had to take a very big leadership in terms of owning their child's learning. So I bring it back to the parents, as African parents, as any parent out there, because for me, I always find it very difficult sometimes to access us, because we are looking for money, we are looking for supporting our families. So sometimes if you want to talk to the teacher, but you're working. So I'll ask people to find, even if it's 2 hours a week, where you can really understand where the child is in terms of their learning.
Now, excellent. We've got, actually, I've had so many parents asking, what can you do? Obviously, I've been a teacher for such a long time too, with the younger ones. And I thought this combination here, I'm in the primary sector, you are in secondary, and then Dr. Langat is at the university level. There comes a time when the kids are leaving you to go to uni, and that is a real struggle, especially for the parents, because most of us, you have that mentality of the African system, that I would like my child to be a doctor, so I want them to go to uni and choose this subject. How can you assist now, leaving this time of COVID alone? How can we, I'll send a question to the two of you, how can we assist our parents in the choice of subject for future, choices of our jobs?
I would ask Dr. Langat to first tell us, how they pick those students, so as we can talk about choices.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Janet. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to appreciate the work that teachers do. I think you will allow me to take 2 minutes to say the frustrations I had staying at home with my little boys. That was really the hardest time. I think it's the first time I really appreciated what primary school teachers do, and I noticed that we don't actually have any job in the university to begin with, because it was one of the hardest. In fact, since they have gone back to school, the week is shorter. It's like it takes the shortest time possible for the week to end. In fact, the weekend is longer. So 2 days against 5. But anyway, it was very interesting because it was tremendous to see these young people struggling, not seeing their friends, not able to go to the playgrounds because, of course, most of them were closed, or even when they got opened, it could be only one family in the playground at the time, and we could go in and sanitize and do this kind of thing. So it was very, very hard. I felt that homeschooling, even as parents, we couldn't give enough. So what Maya asked before was actually very important, in the sense that there's a lot of catch up that the kids would need to do. So coming now into the joining university, having had the best teaching that Akina Janet have done, and won the best again coming from the university. We don't dictate a lot in the university on what the students do. We've got admissions department. There's a lot of open days that universities run, where the students who are just doing their A levels are able to come and have a feel of the university, and they are told about the courses that they have done, and then they will have two choices to make: a choice on which career they want to have, and also a choice on which university they want to go to. So what we do at the University of Surrey is, of course, those local schools around us, they tend to get a lot of attention, in the sense that many of the students volunteer to actually go and mentor some of the students who are in the AS levels. And I remember when I was a PhD student at the University of Surrey, I had an opportunity to go around schools around Guildford. And at some stage, because Surrey is more like slightly different in the sense that we know who live there. So it meant that when there were some Afro-Caribbean students, they had a special guy to come and deal with them, particularly if they had issues. So if you go to many schools around Guildford, they would have known me, in the sense that they would have invited me to go and help an African student who was probably having some issues. So yes, so we've got now a situation where, of course, there is the cohort influence among the students on exactly what they want to do. There is the abilities that the students have that dictates really what they want to do afterwards, because you will not become a medical student if you are not good in biology, for example. So we've got a number of aspects that tend to dictate outside what we want the students to do, which would be, what do they want as career, if their career aspirations on themselves, what do they want to be, and these things that they want to be, do they have enough ability, in the sense that do they have enough talent or enough preparedness to be able to do that? And that's where I've said Akina Janet, they do a tremendous job. Many times in the university, we just get a list that the people will be in your class will be this 14. So all you see are 40 names. So the first thing that we tend to do when they come in is to spend a whole hour really wanting to understand them. Where have they been to? What have they done? Why did they choose these courses? Of course, we've got students who are given a mentor amongst the lecturers, so they would be able to go to those people. And in fact, some universities will still allow interdepartmental transfers or intercourse transfers for those who wanted to change. But of course, we understand that placement of students in the universities here in the UK is dictated by UCAS, and it would be based on the points that you have and the choices that you have already had. So most likely it would be the first 3 or 4 courses that you'll have chosen and the university. So it means a lot needs to be done before the students make those choices, and we need to encourage many of our African parents to accompany these kids when they go to universities for open learning, engage them. I think, May, you are doing a good job, and we could come and spend time bringing people here who are in different professions to try and talk about the opportunities within the professions. So, for example, in my profession and working particularly in 2 institutions, I think I'm quite fortunate in the sense that, as I mentioned, I work at Kew Gardens, and we know that Kew Gardens is a tourist site. So when people come in, all they see are the plants and these beautiful glass houses and these kind of things. But I'm one of those people who are hidden in those old looking buildings. So it would be good, of course, to give opportunities to our people to know exactly. I sit in one of these offices. You can see how old it is. The bookshelves are very different from what Janet is showing on her background. Mine is a bit ancient, 1800 or something like that. So people really want to know what's going on here. So and I think this becomes an opportunity for most parents to understand what goes on here. So here in Kew Garden, for example, we've got biologists, we've got chemists, we've got biochemists, we've got horticulturalists, we've got, name them, if anything around a plant. So if you're looking at nutrition, for example, because we've got feeds coming from plants. So anything that is centered around a plant, so would come here. So, and I think we probably need to come back, have opportunities where, now that we know virtually we can do most of these things. So Mayor, you can organize 20 16 years or 17 years who would want to hear what happens here in Kew Gardens, and we can give them presentations. What exactly does Moses' days look like as soon as he leaves his car in the car park and enters in Kew? And I think, as you rightly say, I grew up in Kenya, and I always wanted to come abroad to study. Okay. And my only message to the kids that we have here in the UK is, for us, we just needed something called a university to be in the UK. And that's why I ended up in Surrey University. And I think at the moment it's a top 20 university. It's not a top 5 university. But here you are fortunate. You are a child of Langat or a child of Janet, or, or somebody else. Where do you want to go? I would like to hear these people saying, I want to go to the top 5 university. Can I be in Cambridge or Oxford or St. Andrews? This should be the motivation that we have, because you've got the background, the foundation. For us, we never had this. We first, we were battling with the aspirations to come and study here. Secondly, we were struggling and hustling to eat in a university. You saw recently in more universities, some of my comrades were not able to feed themselves. So look, but then you are lucky. You hardly hear of anybody going to a boarding school here in the UK. You live with your parents until almost that day that you want to go to the university. This is the fortunate thing that you have. Some of us, we were in boarding school very far away from home, and then you've got all those challenges. But we've got the parents here as a resource, because Janet rightly said that there is what the parent can do, and there is what the teacher can do. And we were always told that the parents will do the 85% of the donkey work, while the parents do the 15%. So we're quite fortunate in the UK, because we have with these young people until that day when they just leave and join me in the university. And of course, once
let me cut you short and say, before they actually join you in the university, you've got to remember you only get the cohort that is academic. The ones that have actually chosen to go to university to extend their learning. For us who are now making the subject choices, because I know Elizabeth was talking about subject choices. Subject choices means you have to understand whether your child is academic or they are creative, and what will be the career route. When do you start having this conversation? As early as your child is in your primary school, as a parent, you become observant. What do they like to do? What excites them? What are they doing? When they go to primary school, their grades at the end of the primary school dictate how they go to secondary school, the classes they actually attend. When they get to somewhere like year 8 in secondary school, they have to actively choose some subject. And that is where now you have real conversation with your child about what subject they're going to choose and why. Because some of them will choose arts because it's fun, they'll be drawing. Some of them will choose music because there'll be gonna be some rap here and there, they're gonna be dancing, not knowing that actually most probably over 60% of music is theory work. So there's going to be that really important conversation about subject choices. And then there's going to be understanding about your child's achievement. For example, for me to go and work in Kew Garden, I have to be a botanist, a chemist. That means I must have done very well in my GCSE chemistry, in my GCSE biology, and go to A level. And even if you don't follow the A level, you can actually go and do apprenticeship. Some people actually choose to do, I don't want to do A level, I want to do BTech. Very practical. And I know a lot of our parents, when you hear BTech, you'll be thinking like, oh, my child is just being taken, they can't understand. Some children don't want to learn that theoretical work. They want to actually go practical with their work. The big conversation is, how do you want to stand with your own 2 feet by the age of 25? That's how I mentor children when I'm mentoring. We have to show your ladder. How are you moving up your career until you're 25? If you decide to go the apprenticeship route, means you're ready to actually go and learn within the job. And that doesn't mean that you will go straight into money. The problem we're having really as a community, especially as a Black community, we have a very bad influence with money. Most of the young people just want to do well and make money very quickly. And it's failing them big time, because when you go to real life, it's not that easy. You're not getting that money that quickly. And that is where we have a big job to do in terms of mentorship, identifying children in our community that needs to go to Dr. Langat for mentoring, because they are academic. That is where they need to go. But we also have a lot of people in our community that are really creative. I can talk about my husband. He's very creative. He does a lot of work with his visual media and all that. There are children who doesn't want to see the teacher. They don't want to do homework. They can't do it. But then they probably would do very well in media. They probably would do very well in design. They probably would just find out what your child wants to do. As long as they understand in real life, there's nothing for free. You don't just get rich overnight. As long as we have that understanding, and you take away the influence of the social media, so as they don't all want to be like Doctor Who. And that is where I bring it back to the parents. Who is your child influencer? Who are they following? Who are they following? Yeah, that's a big question. So as a teacher, for me, it's just saying subject choices. It's not a child thing only. The parent has to be involved. Teachers, for me, like now, my child is doing her subject choices in year 9. We have had that conversation for over a month, where we've agreed you're good at this, but you can, instead of doing that as a subject, she's very artistic. Instead of doing art as a subject, the conversation was, this is something that you can really improve yourself by practice. So instead of you doing that, why don't you do triple science? Instead of doing that, so that conversation has to happen, where as a parent, you don't know it all. I want my child to be a nurse, but probably they don't want to touch blood anywhere.
That is
my choice, but what is about their choice? I want my child to be, let's say, a teacher that probably don't have a big mouth like me. And or they don't have that kind of compassion and understanding and even just being, what am I going to say? There's a word for it. Just being able to understand people at that level. So it's you really wanting your child to do well means you have to lower yourself down to their level. And COVID season will really be a difficult season for us, to be honest, because with the disadvantages we have as a community, with now some of them being behind in terms of their learning, if we don't pick our act together, they will end up graduating without a good grade. And that means, again, that takes away their chances to go to a good university. It takes away their chances for them to actually go to a good college. And that is where we need to really know. In Kenya, like we were talking, Dr. Moses went to Kenya, went to boarding school. Parents were really involved. Parents paid tuition. You don't have money, but you're paying tuition.
We
You're
know
paying,
that.
isn't it? You're paying so much money to just make a child access the best education. In this country, because we come and we find that education is free, most parents sat down and just decided, you know what, my child is going to school, they're doing well. Can I tell you, teachers can be very overwhelmed. No matter how much we want your child to do, if you don't work in partnership with the teachers, don't come and blame the school did not do a good job. First, ask yourself, did you do a good job as a parent?
Yeah, if I can I put a rejoinder, I think that's perfect. I think one thing that I'm getting also from Janet, which is critical, is we don't push the kids into doing things that you as a parent want. That, oh, I want my child to go to St. Andrews, when you haven't actually checked what Janet said. You haven't had a conversation, and you haven't really known exactly what are their abilities, and whether their abilities and whatever the subjects that they like most matches exactly what they want. I'm not being too pushy here, but I wanted to say I have had a number of Indian friends, and the way they do is this. First of all, parental competition, where somebody say, look, my child goes to St. George's, my child goes here, and then the parents tend to push their kids, wanting to compete and be the same as the child's, as a friend, as a child of a friend or a child of a neighbor. So I think there is a balance that needs really to be had. And I think what we want the parents to do is to be democratic or liberal in the way they take these things forward. Be compassionate, listen to the kids. What do they want? And I think one thing that I have seen, I've been invited, but we've never been lucky to go. And I think only most of these community calls started coming in due to COVID. So I think I live in Guildford, but I'm now very much involved in things that happen in Slough, and I see parents are coming together to build welfare groups. And I think all they need within these welfare groups as well is to start to look for mentors now to come and mentor the kids that they have. Invite some of us. Of course, we may not be having all the time in the world, but you never know. Maybe one weekend I'm bored because some guys have gone camping or things like those, and I'm able to come. And of course, even if I'm not able to come, we've got many kids or many brilliant Kenyans who are studying in universities. I have received a number in the University of Surrey at the moment. Many parents who know that I've been there use me as a shield, in the sense that they know that I will be there to pick their child from the airport, bring them to the university. So year in, year out, I've got not less than 3 or 4 students pursuing either a master's or a PhD. And these are the best resources that I have to send them over. So when I'm unable to come, I know these are people that during the week, they will come to my office. We'll have Starbucks coffee together. We'll have chats. Some of them ask, what do you do? How did you, what happened? How did you end up remaining in the university when everybody else got their jobs and they went that way? But you stayed on as you did your PhD at Surrey, and you stayed on. And in fact, we've got some tips that we can give. Like, for example, I use my diversity card very well. Intelligence or talent alone is not enough, particularly in this country, but knowing exactly what keys to touch is very important. So these are some of the things that we give for people to know. Of course, we are disadvantaged as a community, but we've got some advantages that many people don't see. I sit pretty here. I don't need. I try my best to be excellent, but being average may be enough. It may be enough, because you see, if you chase me, where's another one to come and fill that gap, when every single institution is being pushed to make sure that they are inclusive, that they embrace diversity. And these are some of the things that we need to come and tell people to take advantage of. Be brilliant, because these opportunities are there for us. If I appear in an interview with 6 of the other guys, and they see that they have many of those guys, then I just need to be as competitive as they are, and I stand a better chance. So these are some of the things that people don't tell. Why did I end up in Kew Gardens? They came looking for me, you see. So and because they needed to tick some of the boxes that they have to tick. And these are things that we want our parents as well to know, that there are opportunities that are out there that we really need to push our kids to some level, and they will be there to be embraced.
Right. Can I interject? I've got a parent who has sent in a question in an inbox, and they're asking, do you think some of us as business people, when we involve our children at a young age in our businesses, we have a bad influence on their studies? So they get to the money business and they don't want to study at all because they can see there's money coming in. They know their parents never studied. Some of them actually even never went to uni and they're making good money. This parent is worried. Do you think, Janet, what do you think?
Well, for me, what I say is understanding our responsibilities is very important. And that child understanding the responsibility that academic has to happen, that is a responsibility that is primary. And then supporting parents with business is also very important because they understand their business skills. I have always tagged along with my children when we are doing our filming with my husband, and that has made us really blend more. So I would not say it's a bad thing for you to introduce your children. It's them to understand their journey. A lot of people that I know, businessmen, especially with the British community, what I love about them is that whether you're a millionaire or a billionaire, you'll always have your child go do work experience. They'll always, from the age of 18, they will be asked, what do you want to do? They don't just hand in the business to them. They let them develop their skills, their people skills, because that's important. So if you're using your child, you're working with your child to develop the people skill, that's important. If you're working with them to understand accounting and to understand handling money and to understand business, that's very important. But if you're using them to empower your business, that means you're taking them away from their primary objective, which is learning. That is where you would go wrong as a parent. But if you're working with them to improve their skills, that I give thumbs up for.
Dr. Langat, what do you think?
Yes, I support. I pretty much support what Janet is saying. I think there's a balance that a parent who runs business needs to strike. One, are you using your child as a laborer? If you are not using your child as a laborer, and coming in, and I think Janet has said our kids accompany them to do some filming as a hobby. They know that they're just there to enjoy themselves when the parents are probably doing something as a hobby. Then it means that you are striking a balance between, are you taking advantage of a young person to be a source of labor, or are you actually giving this person something to do when they are finished doing what they needed to do? Have they finished their homework? Have they finished what they needed to do? So they are only coming in to support and have fun. And many of us watch football, so rather than them watching football and coming to clean the shop, if you are doing the shop, then that's the thing. So the parents who run businesses, they have advantages that they can offer to their children, something to do so that they don't get bored. They just need to be very, very careful. But we say there's the law of use and disuse. So if you are using somebody and you are using that person rightly, that person start to learn the skills and the experiences and gain knowledge around what they do. They may actually become the best business people around, the best entrepreneurs around, the best investors around. They end up being the bankers and the accountants and the rest of the people. So if you just have that particular balance from the beginning, and then some of these things start to fall in place rightly, then you don't need to feel bad as a parent. But if you're just using the child, as a laborer, then of course that's wrong.
Wow. We seem to be doing very well now, because most of our parents, actually, we need that guidance, because especially those who went to school back home and they came here and now they're bringing up their children, and there's that that culture difference. Now, the other problem I've seen, the other question is about the behavior. It's always said, and I don't know whether it's proven, that the black kids, especially the black boys, that could go very much direct to Janet, because that applies in secondary school. Their behavior, they always say it's appalling. The boys, especially that age of secondary school, the boys, our boys. What do you think? Where do you think we go wrong as parents? What can we do? We don't want to lose our boys at that age.
But who said we've done something wrong? Elizabeth, when me and you meet and Moses, we are loud, we laugh, we have a good time. We are loud people as a community anyway. So when you see 3 or 4 black boys or girls together laughing, having a good time, they're doing exactly what we've taught them to do. So it's only that some people don't understand the balance, and that is why for me, when I'm teaching class, you know, with the black boys or black girls, I always have a good time with them because I've taught them one thing, and has to be continuous every time. Your formal time and your social time. And the moment we start having that conversation, that, you know what, I'll say, Moses, today we are learning about electrolysis. You're not going to learn electrolysis talking to Elizabeth. So this is our formal time. So they need that kind of stern kind of, you know, understanding. When the boy's voice goes up because they would not want to cut socially, because socially, if I was given a choice instead of teaching in class to have a good time with Elizabeth, I'll probably choose to have a good time with Elizabeth. So if there's a teacher in class letting me and Elizabeth chat and they are not challenging me, I will continue with that socially because we are social animals, even young people, wherever they are. So for me, the black boys, what they need is guidance on how to really and know their formal time. And really that reminding that you are a friend's keeper. So if your friend is doing poorly, and I always tell them, are you pretending to be a friend or are you a good friend? Because if you're pretending to be a friend, you'll continue making noise when the teacher is teaching because you don't mind if your child is failing or rather your friend is failing. So for me, the black boys I've taught over the years, with poor behavior to start with, they will correct themselves. Why? Because first and foremost, I've given them that listening ear. I've listened to them. And I've corrected them, not with a lot of hatred, not with a lot of, what's wrong with you. I've really shown them what they need to do. Black boys in the school system, most of them are misunderstood. But sometimes they don't do very well in terms of presenting themselves. And sometimes as parents, we fail. When your child, for me, if my teacher came and told my mom I was bad in school, there's no way the parent is going to go to the teacher and fight the teacher and play the race card and whatever. And as parents, you need to first understand, if the teacher says the child is doing this, go and have the conversation with the teacher. Most schools really love to see a parent who is actively involved. If you're actively involved, and kids hate a parent who goes to school. So if you want to correct if you want to correct your child, be available in school. Make meetings with teachers. Be seen coming to school. The kids will tell their friends, oh, my mom will come after school today, so I have to do well. And they will even be begging the teacher, can you call home to say I've been doing all right? So if you want to know whether your child is doing all right, make that, for me, disturb me. If I'm a parent, I tell my teacher's kids, or my kids' teacher rather, call me. When they're doing well, call me. And me as a parent, if I don't get emails from the teacher, I will take the phone call and I will call. Black children, they need a lot of behavior support because we are very social, and the system really, some of them are misunderstood by the teacher, and the teachers are worried because you'll always say, oh, that teacher doesn't like me because I'm black. I'm like, when I'm teaching a class of 30 kids and there are 3 black kids, there's no way I'm going to be thinking, I don't like you because you're black. No, all teachers will teach a lesson prepared for that class. So if there was something that happened you didn't learn, then make sure that you find it. And for the issue about the black boys, for me, I'm asking from the onset, like Dr. Moses has young boys, make sure you are really following the teachers. Make sure you're looking at their reports. Make sure you're picking up those little lines on the reports, because sometimes we write a very good report, but you got to look at the keywords that are used by the teacher. Very exciting, very social. Then you're going to be thinking, do they really have chat in class? Then you as a parent, you're going to, there's a time, a long time ago, now we're not allowed to do that. There's a time the parent used to complain, oh yeah, my child is saying, oh, that teacher is not nice. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give you an opportunity to come and observe your child in class. I'm not going to tell them that you're coming. So, So
Now, people, the two of you, because our time is really much spent. There was a clip that has been going around. I don't know whether you've seen it, of a 6-year-old girl. Have you seen it?
In Uganda. I think that was a Ugandan girl.
No. The one from here, the one in UK. There was a white girl who actually was telling the mom, "I'm sick. I'm sick, mom, for heaven's sake. And you
Yeah.
not let me go to the pub." And there was
Yeah,
another one also.
I
There
saw
was
that one.
there was another one in Kenya where the girl was being asked by the mother, "I can't wait for school to go back." And the girl is asking the mother, "Schools are finished after COVID. Now we are looking for jobs. We are looking for money." So, you know,
absolutely.
and actually, that is one of the reasons why I wanted you as teachers to talk to these parents, because this time at home, a child, you just need to take the child away for a few days, and the mind is off books, that they have forgotten they're supposed to be learning. Now, as we come to an end, what is your advice? And now we are talking to parents, because I doubt many students are listening here, but the parents who are listening, who are really concerned, who do not know, maybe some of the parents don't want to open up, but they are struggling with their children, because our children are torn between, they want to copy what they hear happening here. And that is why I've used that example of a 6-year-old girl, telling mom, "I have to go to the pub. I'm only 6 years and daddy will not listen to me. Can I go to the," those kind of. So our parents don't know how to handle them. And sometimes they end up slapping, and what happens, social services and all that. So as you come to an end, what advice do you have for our parents? Because this has been a very, very trying time for us. And even as we continue with our learning, because I believe this is not enough. Parents have got more that they can learn from you. People want to hear from people who are really opening up their hearts to help them, to support them, so that we can have a better generation. So over to Langat, and then I'll go back to Janet.
Thank you, Mayor. In fact, when Janet was talking, I was almost about to summarize what she said, that behavior is a culture. So, and the culture is a way of life. It's how you do things. So, whatever we see in a young person is what is used to almost on a daily basis. And this comes from the culture built from home, what they observe, what their parents do, and also what their friends do. So it is incumbent for every parent to actually understand that ecosystem that that particular child is undergoing, so that they are able to understand how to break bad culture. Of course, and this is very interesting, and this is slightly shocking. Sometimes when I give the phone to my young boy to speak to his grandparent, he orders me to sit on the table, saying, "Move there while I talk to my grandpa." And I never knew that perhaps maybe sometimes when I get the call and they come and talk to me, I tell them, "Can you wait for daddy to finish with his friend?" And this is exactly what he did. And this is a very young person. So, and this came to me brightly, that that little thing that you do, which you think it is not influential, is very, very influential. So in fact, the phones, the computers, and these kind of things, how you use them at home, they pick it. I'm talking about very, very young guys here, and you can imagine now you are building an armory of culture in the mind of this person. By the time they are 14, they are 15, they have a heavy one, which becomes very difficult. In fact, it would be very hard to shade some of the bad culture that they would have already picked. So I think, and as I said, up until COVID, I think many of us didn't understand parenting. We started understanding parenting proper when COVID came in, and there was a complete jig of how we do things in our lives. So all of a sudden, we are used to just dress these people, maybe drop them, or maybe they are jumping into a car, and then the next time you see them is in the evening. But then now you get locked on. It's not a holiday, because most holidays we are never here. We are all in Kenya, and remember all those free spaces that we have. So many of us had never had a chance whatsoever to spend 3 months or 4 months with these people locked you know, some of us live in places where we only have a garden which is 5 meters by 10 meters. That is the best you could go. So really, you are in a camp with these people. So they taught us a lot about how we need to do things, because as I was saying, some of the observations you see, you could actually see that they are important. So I think the most important thing, just to summarize, so that I leave some time for Janet, I know the program is coming to an end. Just to summarize, I think after this, parents would need to come together and share the experiences that they have had, because out of this, we should be able to write several books. And these books will be able to help the young parents who are coming around to actually understand how to deal with these things. But I wanted to say, and Janet has rightly said, to understand how to deal with one person who is growing up, there should be a strategy that needs to be followed. And these strategies, I think Akina Janet know better. You know, we don't beat kids here. We don't touch them. We don't do. But there are some strategies that we have been given that they do wonderful jobs using positive incentives and different kind of things. That if you do this, then you will be able to get these. You know, I think gadgets are there now. They are the best positive incentives that are around. That if you are able to complete your schoolwork on time, then you can come and get your tablet or something like that. So we've got all this, or you can go to the playground. So we are now taught as young parents in the United Kingdom, living in a very complete environment. You know, back in Kenya, a child messes up, the next thing they hear is a wonderful slap that leaves some markings on the face. These things don't happen here. But then now we have to learn these strategies. So we have to go to Janet and the parents who have been there long enough to understand and ask them exactly, my kid does these, what is the strategy that I can use? And I know that those things are there. You've put them in brochures, in pamphlets, in different things. And there are some strategies that are good for African boys or African girls or Indian boys, Indian girls, because these have been developed over time by the communities. So I think we don't need to shy up. We need to access these resources and actually ask the people who know where the resources are. Why is it that a child is so good in school, but don't listen at home? This is the question we need to ask. What is this magic that Janet is
I
using?
think that, Daktari, we need more time. Somebody is asking very quickly before Janet comes to wind up and answer that question. Somebody is saying they never saw that clip. I'm going to put that clip very briefly. It doesn't go up to the end. And then Janet can guide parents from that clip. Let me get that clip ready for that 6 year.
Let me just go for one night.
Because you're too little to go to the pub.
Mommy, I'm 6. 6. I am absolutely just 6.
Yeah, exactly. You're 6. Not 16, not 17, not 18. You're 6.
And Millie 6, she got to go to the pub.
For her daddy's birthday party.
And did I get to go?
No.
Well then, why do I not get to go to the catch and spend time with my auntie? It's my weekend off. What about if other kids are going? Please, I just one night, and I won't go to the bingo anymore. I won't go to the bingo tomorrow.
Okay, I'm trying to go to either.
Yeah, but I don't care. I'm just asking you.
What did Daddy say to all this?
He's ignoring me. He's on his phone. Me.
He what?
He's giving out to me. He's shouting at me. I'm trying to talk to him.
Maybe because you're doing his head in.
I'm not doing his head in. I'm trying to tell him something and he's being mean to me. All the time when you're gone, he thinks he gets his own way and everything. He thinks that he can go on his phone, and he thinks that he doesn't have to spend time with me, and he thinks that he pretends he's cleaning when you're gone. And he doesn't really.
It's not funny. Janet, it's not funny. Your comments.
Do you know what? As a teacher, I love that child. It's inspiring. You know, she's a quick thinker. She's a politician. She can debate. So what I saw from there is the power in that child. She is arguing very well with informed thought. I think for me, the person who failed in that clip is the mother, because it's important. Seriously, it's important for us to tell the children the truth of how the matter is. When you tell them truth without giving excuses, the truth will always stand and will always stay true. So for me, that child is amazing. Bring her to me. And as teachers, we pick on that ability with good guidance, with with good kind of mentoring. That would be, by the age of 21, she will be an MP somewhere, because she can be able to think. She's a community leader already, because that kind of thinking is not normal. It's just really on a top, you know. And for me, let me say this. The question was what we can do, like what we can do. And I would say first and foremost, be observant. Not, like, people don't learn habits one day, like Moses said there. It's an ongoing thing. So as a parent, be observant. If my child comes from school today, I don't ask her, what happened in school today? How was school today? Fine. Don't just take the fine word for it. What was fine about it? What did you do in math? What did you do in science? What did the teachers? Show a genuine interest to your child's learning. That is number one. Many parents who've come for me for support because their children are just about to be excluded from school, or they've been excluded from school, they come way too late. You keep quiet, you keep quiet, you keep quiet. When your child has been chucked out of school is when you come and look for support of professionals like me. Find a way to work with a professional when you start looking at those signs. Something is going wrong. Find that time. That is a correction time. You might not be able to correct when they've already been excluded. The schools will always keep files. When teachers complain about a child, they will keep a file. Make sure when that information comes to you from the word go, you have really an active interest in knowing what was going wrong in your child's life. Number two, let's just not forget, just yesterday actually, I was learning this, one of our Congolese boys who've just been killed just around the corner in Dagenham. There's been a stabbing. And because of the culture that is online that we are not aware, believe me, you guys, the culture online we are not aware is beyond. The kind of hip-hop music they are creating that doesn't circulate in our normal circles is beyond. So it means we really have to be able to control. And even if we can't control their online use, we need to control their Wi-Fi use. For example, I would say in my house, 10 o'clock, you can cut the Wi-Fi off. But that, if you get a good relationship with your child, they will kind of know that website is not for me. Or we were talking after that killing has happened, I brought a conversation in my house, not to tell my kids, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. It's to actually talk to them about what is happening. Why do they join the gangs? And they say, you know what, when you're being recruited, blah, blah, blah. So we talk about that first step. Make sure that your child doesn't go in the first step. But that's, again, active. Mental health, right now, there are so many students we are really sending to social work, to the social workers. We are really having them assessed because COVID has cut down a lot of interactions. And, children grow best when they interact. Some of them have come back depressed because they have lost their friends. Online bullying, because of different things, maybe because of what you have. I have these 500-pound shoes. You can only afford 20-pound shoes. There's so much of those influences that as parents, we don't really take interest in. I will end up with that one whereby really, by the age of 25, you want to look back and say, I did the best I could do for my child. I monitored their online news. I really make sure they did their homework. I talked to their teachers. And more importantly, when they needed help, I wasn't proud. I seek for that help from the professionals, from friends. Lastly, as a community, can we stop talking about other people's children? Because the moment you hear my child has been excluded from school, the news circulate on WhatsApp so much. That's why some of us are not able to go and ask for help. So I will leave by saying beacon of hope means we're looking for hope for our children, because the moment you know what? Wisdom happened. Langat used to talk to the grandfather. We don't have our grandfathers here. And most of our parents have refused to grow up. If you see me behaving, I'm dressing up like a 16-year-old, just like my daughter is dressing up. I'm drinking 24/7 with my friends. What will make sure that my child, when they get to that age, they don't behave exactly like that? Teach responsibility by actually being responsible.
Absolutely.
And that is how I'm living it.
Wow. You know what? Oh, I think this topic needs 2-3 hours now. And I must also end up by saying, you said all these things that need to be done. And also now I must say also teaching our children the fear of God, taking our children to church. And the word of God says, train up a child in the way that he should grow. And when they grow up, they will never depart from it. I still remember my Sunday school teachers up to today. The other day I was preaching and I said, John 3:16, I learned that when I was 9 or 8, and I did that poem in Sunday school. It stuck in my mind. Are we doing that? Are we following the cultures that we have found that Sundays is a football day? Let us watch how we are bringing up our children. And there's so much that we could say tonight, but I must say thank you so much, my colleagues and viewers. I know you've not had enough. I can see people are coming from work now. They want to ask questions. Today, we've had so much insight from one of us, Dr. Moses Langat, and one of us, teacher Janet, founder and president of the Face of Kenya. And at the moment, I'm referring to her as teacher Janet because we are talking about education. Education, school matters, learning. Because at the end of the day, what else can you leave your child? Here, we do not have the big shambas. We don't. And so we really have to think of what else? How can what am I going to support my child with when I live here, other than the education that I can give them? I know some of us are thinking of all the plots of all the land in Kenya, but you know what? The next generation, the children we are bringing up, will never look at Kenya. They will be thinking of being here. So I am absolutely delighted to have hosted you two here. And I tell you what, we need more of this. We need to help our people. We need to talk more about this. Not everybody is in this sector. And I can just say, thank you so much. And viewers, if anybody has been affected by some of the things that have been said here, if anybody would like support, the two people here, Teacher Janet and Dr. Langat, are always available. They are community champions. They are people who give up. If you invite them, Dr. Langat said he's invited to events. Janet organizes events. I know she's got programs that she does for young people. Just reach out to them. And if you do not know how to go to them directly, come to me. I can call any of them at midnight. Janet, even if her husband is there, I'll tell them to handle any child, any parent. The same with Langat. Reach out to this. Let us get help, please. Let us pick up. Let us share. Do not just die there on your own. Do not let our child go down in the dams when we are here, when we can support them. So thank you so much once again. And Beacon of Hope is here to offer hope. I'm sure we need you, maybe half-term week, so that you can come and tell us how you have picked, how the children have picked, and any issues that we need to address. Thank you once again. And I'll let you go, but I just thank you for sharing and opening up your heart into what we had to do today. Viewers, I cannot end without talking about Tap Tap. I always tell people, the new way of sending money. Anything good we get, all these community leaders we have here, we always share. So Tap Tap is a new way and it is beautiful. No hidden transaction fees. Just send. And today, I know I spoke to somebody today. We have the highest rate of exchange. Can we see a clip to show us Tap Tap? And then you just need to download and that's it. Send money to Kenya. Tap Tap, send. Tap Tap, send.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
You're welcome. You come back. I'm sure you will come back. Waiting for my Tap Tap. I had a problem with my phone. So Tap Tap.
Niajiwase. Tap Tap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. Tumaki too.
All right. Thank you so much. We've come to the end, and tomorrow night we have the other session of Beacon of Hope, the family program where Bishop BK teaches us about family life, family matters, how to handle your husband, how to handle your wife, how to handle your children at home, all these plus love affairs. And it's the family program. On Sunday, we have our service in Kikuyu. Don't miss out. Keep watching. Follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, Beacon of Hope. Like us, subscribe, and follow our channel. God bless you. Thank you so much, and have a brilliant weekend. I had a song, So Many Vijana. I used to hear that song. Dr. Langat was laughing before Janet came in. It says, So many vijana, mwisho wa kusoma mtapata kazi nzuri. I never heard you say kazi nzuri when you are saying.
We had that song when growing up, yeah. So
Kazi ya